America's short-term goal here in Thailand is obviously to overthrow the government, to undermine the military and monarchy, to get the opposition into power, and to advance their goal of encircling and containing China. Their longer-term goal is cultural colonization, and one of the methods that they do this through is by targeting the Thai education system. Now, they do this through a variety of ways, but one that I want to talk about today is this group calling themselves the bad students. Now, the US doesn't directly support the bad students, not that I know of, but the US-backed opposition certainly does. They show up at all of their rallies, and of course, the logistics and money involved in a lot of their activities obviously requires sponsors and political support from the opposition. They call themselves the bad students because they're trying to be clever. They're trying to suggest that the establishment sees them as being bad students for what they call merely wanting reforms. But actually, when they go out to protest, they actually are doing bad things. They carry out vandalism. They hurl insults at public officials who, in good faith, come out to negotiate with them, to hear what their grievances are. And so they actually are being bad students. The other irony is that they constantly depict themselves as being victims of the system, and yet every time they come out and protest and they break the law, the police do very little, if anything, to intervene. And a perfect example of this was yesterday at the Ministry of Education. They showed up. The police said they couldn't protest because of COVID restrictions. They negotiated with the police, and the police allowed them to go ahead with their demonstration. So here they are throwing paint all over the exterior wall of the Ministry of Education. They've got a pile of garbage in front of the nameplate of the Ministry of Education that they put there, and then they're posing for the cameras. And you can just see how fake and artificial all of this is, how staged it is, how disingenuous it all is. And again, you have to remember, they're claiming to be victims even though the police are giving them free rein to vandalize public property with zero consequences. And look at all these journalists, so-called journalists, showing up so that they can help promote this. And this is actually the picture, one of the pictures that they took that ended up in the Bangkok Post. You know, they're glorifying a movement that just goes out and vandalizes public property, shouts insults at people, and in general is just part of this wider movement to just divide and destroy the country. So I just wanted to point that out about this group, bad students, that's what they are. This is not a group of students organizing on their own. They're being egged on by the billionaire-led opposition here in Thailand, who in turn is being backed by the US. And this is what the US does in every country. They attack anything that makes a country strong. They attack it to get it out of the way so that they can continue dividing and destroying a country. A country that's divided is a weak country. It's a weak country that cannot fight back. And it's a weak country that the US can come in and exploit and do whatever it wants with. One of the things the US really wants to do with Thailand is cut all of its ties with China and to use Thailand as a battering ram against China. How is that going to be in the best interests of Thai people? So, you know, these students in these groups and the protesters and even the opposition, just look around the world, everywhere else the US has gotten involved, and ask yourselves why you think your movement here in Thailand is going to be different, why you think your movement is somehow going to be successful, where everywhere else the US has gone and interfered has turned into a disaster, if not entirely destroyed the country. Think about that. If you thought this video was useful, please like and share it. Think about subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's totally free to do, and it helps the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate that. And to everyone everywhere helping me in absolutely every way, thank you so much. I couldn't do this without my audience, and as always, thank you for watching.